Hello there, my name is Osmond. I would like to do a VOD review for you on your your Lucio and your Ana play. It says on Overwatch University that this is a silver player who's going to play some Lucio and then some Ana. So we'll take a look at this and see if there's anything that I can help you out with. All right, we're starting off on the Lucio guy, and so I imagine we're going to play a little bit of Lucio, and then we'll swap on over to the Ana at some point during the game. Okay. I'm going to skip forward here a little bit. Pardon the audio. Audio can sometimes feel a little bit weird on the replay viewer right now when I like move around the track. Okay. So in the beginning here, just one thing to note about Lucio is I noticed that your team is full and you're kind of like sitting on health. Okay. You don't have to sit on healing. And in fact, the number one thing that you offer to the team as a Lucio is speed. And you do that at the cost of less healing. So Lucio does not provide a whole lot of healing. He provides some healing, but you don't play Lucio for the healing, right? If you wanted to heal your team in this scenario, you wouldn't play Lucio. You would actually play something else. But instead, you're deciding to play Lucio, which means that you are offering a utility to your team. All the heroes on the support roster that don't do as much healing tend to offer some level of utility instead. And so in this case, Lucio offers speed, and that's your primary support for the team. You support your team by making them move faster, not necessarily as much by healing them. In this case, your team is full, be on speed. Okay. Okay, shoot the Hanzo in that little window up there. You see the little window over here? Shoot that Hanzo. Definitely what we're going to see. I see you shooting the Junker Queen there. That's okay. But shoot the Hanzo. And why am I telling you to shoot the Hanzo? Is because the Hanzo is got a strong angle. You can see the Hanzo up here, right? He's just going to be sitting here. If he just sits here and nobody shoots him, then he gets to free cast Hanzo arrows, and those are very scary because those can do up to 250 damage for a single arrow or 125 damage body shot. Those are scary. Those kill people. And so definitely blocking off that angle, causing him to like duck behind cover is better than doing a little bit of damage to this Junker Queen that you're not going to kill for a little while. All right. So that's what I recommend. Shoot that Hanzo. Okay. Look at that. Huge. Excellent. Good stuff. Now, what don't I like about what I'm seeing now? Okay. Well, you shot the Hanzo. You barely did anything to the Hanzo, right? And now he's up here. He's taking cover. You've done your goal, right? The pressure is off of your team from this Hanzo. You've gotten the Kiriko to teleport to the Hanzo. But if the Hanzo pays attention right here for a moment, he'll realize that there are no more bullets aiming at this window, and that means he can re-peek it. So why not throw a couple more bullets at the window? Just a couple more bullets, right? If you can convince this Hanzo that there are still bullets coming out of this window, then he can't peek it yet. And if he sees you poking bullets through the window while he's not even peeking it, then he's even more scared of the window. But if he learns that all he has to do is duck once and no more bullets come and you just instantly look away, he's going to feel free to just kind of like duck for cover and then just go right back into the angle. Don't give him that, right? Don't give him that. Keep firing bullets at that window. But you see yourself kind of starting to ignore the window now. Okay, you see your D.Va going big. Your D.Va, you run in with your D.Va. I don't mind this. And your Ana gets a pretty big nade, right? This Mercy actually killable. This, what you're doing here, super aggressive, coming in with speed. You haven't amped speed yet, but that's okay. Coming in with your tank is fine because you've got a purpled Mercy and you're kind of just like with your front line, enabling your D.Va to do something. So I don't mind this. Even though it's like really aggressive and even though your team is like isn't going to come with you because they're kind of low rated, I still don't mind it. That's fine, and a fine way to like think about how to play Lucio. You did shoot Junker Queen a little bit there, and you know the target really is Mercy. So you start shooting the Mercy. Okay, that's good. You kind of shot a little bit at the Hanzo. Okay. Now that Junker Queen's purple, that could be the play to start shooting the Junker Queen, but also Mei's on you. You're kind of low, and so in this moment, it might be time to kind of like start pulling out of the position or being a little bit safer, right? Get a little bit higher on the altitude. See if maybe you can get up the wall a little bit here because otherwise this might be a problem. I should tell you that Mei does not require very high mechanical aim to be able to kill a Lucio because her ice kind of works like a beam, right? It kind of beams you, and she doesn't have to hit a shot as much as she just has to like spray a beam at you, if that makes sense. So see, you're kind of on the ground. In this moment, you could be up in the air a little bit. You could be kind of you could gain some altitude. You go for a boop here. It's fine, but you see, like Mei is just not gonna have any trouble keeping that frost beam on you. And yeah, so unfortunate, you're gonna go down there. If you were a little bit higher altitude, she might have had a little bit more trouble hitting you, although the Hanzo could probably still hit you even from that altitude. Altogether, really aggressive play going in with your diva, but I don't mind seeing it because in higher level elo, you're going to have more people following up on that than just you, and people are doing that in higher elo, even though like in this elo, in like silver, you're not seeing your team come with you as much, and so you're not really like feeling the impact of that. There is a lot of impact in like playing with your tank, watching when they make a play, and making a play with them with speed. Like I loved seeing that. That was really good. Okay. You didn't really have to like pull off of that angle just because the wall came up, by the way. You can wall climb, so you can go over that wall. That's a potential thing you do. This time you're spending going in the other direction could have been spent out there, like being in the action with your diva. Your diva might have a lot of trouble here because you decided to rotate the other side. Which she does. Okay, so here she loses mech, and when she loses mech here, one thing about diva, she loses mech, the fight's over, right? Well, maybe not over, but it's like really bad because she's going to die again in Baby Diva form. While she's in Baby Diva, she is not a tank, right? You do not have a tank on your team. And she takes longer to respawn. So like the next fight's going to take longer to get to because she has to die with mech, and then she has to die without the mech to actually go back to the respawn screen. In this scenario, as you're coming out here, if you're going to try to continue holding this, you're going to want to take some altitude. All right, try not to sit on the ground. Going up the side of this wall right here and playing up here a little bit would be kind of nice to see. As you turn and go on altitude and start shooting the Mei from an angle, then she'll feel the presence of multiple angles against her, and she'll start like walking backwards a little bit, maybe looking at you and looking at the diva and trying to figure out who she should shoot. And she might pull off of the diva. Maybe the diva gets some shots in. Maybe the diva gets her mech back. That's a long shot, but it's the play, right? Playing in front of the diva, enabling Mei to kind of like cleave through and hit both of you at the same time with her frost gives her a no-brainer situation. She's just going to do that, right? Now, okay, she comes into ice block, whatever. I still want to see you more on the wall, right? You're still kind of like bunched up together in this corner, and the enemy team doesn't feel any redundancy of range pressure angles coming from other angles here. They just see 3 people clumped up, and that's kind of good for the red team here, right? Getting that out is pretty good. Because I don't think they really needed to use the Junker Queen ult, but they did anyway. You're going to end up dying here. I think I could have seen more altitude. I would like to have seen more altitude by like climbing up the side of the wall a little bit there. A little more of that. Okay, this amp speed is kind of cool because it kind of gets your team out there. However, I'd say too soon. And the reason I'd say it's too soon is if I go back for a moment. All right, let's go back a moment. Watch for when you used it, right? Right now is when you use the ability. You didn't really know where the enemy team was. You kind of used this ability on 0 information. Like, not even your diva really had a whole lot of info in this moment. And so it's like you don't know where the enemy team is. You don't even know where this rotation is going to take you. And you already used the amp. It's only 4 seconds long. Okay. So using it this early, watch your diva. Watch your diva. Is she really going to do something with the amp? Or is she kind of going to try to like spend this 4 seconds making a decision? You tell me. Okay. There you go. That's the amp. Amp is over. You see your diva kind of go in and then kind of back out and then kind of go in again? She spent the 4 seconds of amp dicking around and not doing anything with it. Once the amp was over, she found her target and made a play. And the reason why it took her that long was because you used it a little bit too early. If you had waited until you were actually past the corner, could see a target, make a ping, and then use amp speed, that would have been a little bit different. Okay? That would have allowed your diva to actually utilize the speed, and then you could at the same time kind of go up this wall and over this way and kind of join her in the push, because you could have kind of, you know, you pinged it and you kind of play together on the target, right? But instead, like, it was kind of wasted just because it was used a little bit too early. All right, we're in the middle of things. That beat was a little weird, or sorry, not beat, the boop, and it kind of looked like you're just booping for the hell of it. You don't have to boop for the hell of it. You actually just want to like find people that you can actually boop into worse positions. The whole point of boop is that the enemy team has some person in some position and you want to make their position worse. And that is why you boop. Okay. The only other reason you boop is to confirm a kill. Let's go back 5 seconds. All right. Watch this. Okay. We're kind of just shooting the enemy team. We're in because our team is in. All right. I don't mind the mentality of like, my team's in, so I should be in. That's fine. All right. But if you look at this, the boop had no decision. It was just, I have boop. It's a button I can press. Therefore, it is time to press the button. Holy shit, I'm sorry about the train. If you can hear that train in the recording, I'm sorry. I live next to a train. Anyway, try to put some intention behind your boop, right? You want to actually identify someone in a good position and boop them into a not so good position. If you can do that, you are disabling the enemy team. Another thing you can do is find the enemy team in some position, right? And enable your team to kill them by pushing them into your team. That's another way you can use boop. But just using boop because you can shows me a very silver quality of your decision making. And that is to say that silver players oftentimes will use an ability because they just haven't used it in a while. With that, there's no other reason. They say, well, I haven't booped in a while. I might as well use boop. But that's a very silver thing to do. In order to get into gold, you're going to have to make a decision and actually use real decision making and thinking behind the usage of all of your abilities, including boop. Okay? Let's move on. Ooh, sorry about that. Replay viewer can be a little weird sound right now. Make sure your Ana's coming with you here, right? Use speed. Speed your team back in. See this Ana? She's kind of like left behind here, but you could bring her back in. But you're just kind of gone, right? Poor Ana. Poor Ana. All right. You don't have to follow your ROM down here, right? When you're coming this part, you know, this way, definitely just like get up here, right? You can wall climb off of this stuff. You can get up there. Be up here. Shoot this. Like play around this thing here. Play up here. Shoot down there. Do this stuff. You don't have to be down here. It's cool because you're kind of with your ROM, and that's kind of a cool mentality to have. But you know, like also just kind of be existing in good positions, especially when your team's not necessarily in a fight, because you can, by the way, go from like a really weird outside position. Like what if you're wall climbing up here and you're finding some cool shot, cool angle at the enemy team, like down this direction, or like from like up here on the wall, you can like shoot an enemy team member like who might be peeking this angle right here. You can go from like doing that to like your team suddenly needing you to be in the fight. You can peel yourself off this wall with amp speed, and you can be a part of that fight very quickly, right? You can spend 1 out of your 4 seconds of amp speed getting to the fight, and then suddenly being in it, and you can still spend 3 seconds with amp speed in the fight. And you'll see that a lot in Overwatch League, where I know I'm not trying to tell you to be an Overwatch League Lucio, but I'm just telling you that in the higher level Lucio play, what you'll see a lot of is these plays where Lucios are kind of just off on an interesting angle to get a sights on interesting angles, right? From interesting positions that the enemy team isn't going to expect. And when it's time to actually make a play with your amp speed is the time they use amp speed and just dive into the fight with their team. Okay? You'll see a lot of that in higher level play. And just keeping that in mind, that's something you could think about implementing into your play somehow. Okay, this is good. Shooting angles, I like seeing it. Reload. I want to be with your Ramatra a little bit more here. Also, you could be shooting the Ashe over here as well. Just keep that in mind. She's kind of like freely on that angle, and you could kind of like shoot back at it. Okay. Let me go back a second here. Whoa. Sorry about that. Let's go back again. All right, let's do this. I'm going to slow it down. What I want you to watch. I want to watch this real quick. Just get a slowed down view. Look at where you're aiming. I want you to see your green bullet pellets. I want you to watch them move. Okay? Watch them. Ready? Here we go. We're going to see some green pellets in a second here. Okay. Okay, that was interesting. Those are all going to hit walls, all right? See those three? You got one here, one over here, and one over there. All right. Is that effective? Shooting 3 pellets in different directions? See the next one. That was cool. They all went in the same direction. That was really good. What this shows me is in this moment, your mouse stayed steady on one angle, and you intentionally shot in this direction for like all 3 bullets. Like you held your mouse still for a second there, and you shot in all one direction. This is something I want to highlight, actually, because this is good. I want to see more holding your mouse at an intentional angle, all right? Intentionally, like, for example, at this exact angle, and shooting all your pellets at one angle. All of your pellets at one angle. And if you can shoot all your pellets at one angle, you'll be much more precise in what you're shooting at, and you're going to scare people away more, right? If they see all 4 of these pellets coming at the same like window here, like this, they're going to pull back. I'm like, whoa, Lucio's shooting that. Like, he's actually really aiming that angle. I'm going to pull back. That's kind of getting spammed out. You're going to see people. You will actually zone people better if you just hold your mouse still on an angle and contest the angle with shots. Just like shoot exactly where people would peek, right? And if they feel like they can't peek because they're going to take Lucio bullets to the face, then you are doing wonderful things. Wonderful things. Here comes Junker Queen. You want to boop her? Yeah, get her away from you. Now find some altitude, right? Because you're kind of in the middle of the open space here. You don't want to be in the middle of open space. If you had to retreat in this scenario, the only thing you could do is like either go in there and hope you can get in there fast enough, or start going up this wall, and you're still really far away from any cover. You're too far away from any cover to really call this a good position. And so this is something I would identify if I was playing Guess My SR, all right? Where you are right now, and the fact that you're not very close to any cover in the middle of a fight, you're standing in open space. This is something I would say, oh yeah, this is a silver player because they're not near any cover. Okay, so keep that in mind. Yeah, you're in the middle of the open, and it's one thing to not be near cover when you're like in the geometry is very closed, but notice how in this scenario you have Hanzo like looking at you over here. You've got the team kind of just looking at you over here. Like you are standing in enemy sight lines. You're like, you don't have altitude. You're just on the ground. You're not near cover. Like there's a lot of reasons why this is a bad position. And a lot of it comes down to having the thinking that you should never stand in open space, and you should always be within a close distance of some cover for Lucio in specific, unless you are on the enemy team making a play and you're like way up here, then yeah, they could technically shoot you, but you're above them. And that's a lot different. You're above them. You're at some angle. You're not really standing like as a fish in a barrel. You're like actually making a play on them. And that's a lot different. So this, not very good. This, I imagine you probably don't live through this. Ash over there, shoot her back. Shoot that Ash back. Okay, so you have lived so far. That's good that you've lived. Shoot the Ash. Shoot the Ash. Shoot the Ash. There we go. Except those 3 bullets went in 3 different places, and they actually all needed to shoot the angle. You want to shoot that angle. Really threaten her, right? If you don't shoot the angle, she's just gonna peek back and shoot you back. There she goes. Peek back. You turned away from the angle. I kind of want you to look back at that angle again. There you go. You're looking at the angle, but the shots kind of didn't shoot the angle again. And now you're like 30 life. This is really like you're still in the open space. You can shoot that angle from a distance. You can still be back here and shoot that angle. And I recommend it. You know, stay a little further back. Don't be over here, right? Don't be so close to that, because as you're here, not only are you kind of like in danger from this Ash, but you're also in danger from main, right? Like they're going to be looking this direction. They're going to see main, right? And they're going to see you, and you're a target potentially. So that's not as good. If you're standing over here and you're riding alongside this green thing right here, this green tarp, then you can kind of shoot the ash, and the enemy team standing in this direction, they don't get to see you. And so you're a lot less danger standing in, like, gliding over this wall over here. Where you are here, though, this is pretty dangerous. Yeah, so you're going to finally get killed here by the Kiriko, but the ash, I mean, she was also shooting at you. There's multiple angles of aggression against you. Yeah, and so that's kind of what happened there. Okay, let's come out here. Nice, you got a little bit of roll out here. That's good. Keep the altitude going. Okay, so we fall back on the ground. That's fine. Healing our fire a little bit. It's a little bit open again. You gotta be careful about this, right? Enemy team, as you're reapproaching this, they're gonna have this high ground like this Hanzo has right here. He's gonna have open sight lines. He's actually just gonna be aiming in this direction, and you're already standing in it. And you're kind of like not next to cover again. And so this, I'd be really uncomfortable in this position if I was playing Lucio here. Instead, I would be looking at like up this wall. I'd be wanting to get some altitude over here, playing along this corner. There's a thing you can do. Make sure you have backwards wall riding on. You can kind of peel off the corner here, and you can work on this in like a practice range or something, for example, or just in a custom game. Peel off the corner and like pull back a little bit, and you can like backwards wall ride, and then you can like jump off the wall and back towards it, and you can kind of just stay on this corner up here for a little bit. All right, then you've got the cover of the wall, and you're not standing like a fish in a barrel in open space in the sight line the enemy's already looking at, right? So just think about that. Think about that. You could have a little bit more altitude. You could kind of play off of a wall in here. Okay. Potential beat opportunity. Big potential beat opportunity. The reason why you'd want to beat in response to this is because your team is purple. You can't get healed, but you can get your beat, right? Your beat is not healing, it's over health. And so that can go on top of the purple and save your team from dying here. So I would love to see a beat. Okay, there's no beat. Okay. So you're not punished for not beating there, but you definitely could have beat it there. Now, your Rom's going to go for the ult. You could do like a beat annihilation combo. What's more important, though, is when he annihilates, that you also have amp speed. And it looks like we're lining that up pretty well here because he looks like he's big in. He's like going for the hard push. He's going to probably use the Rom ult, and you're probably going to amp speed it, and that's going to be really good. You want to get your Rom deep into the enemy team. You do not want him to be just barely on him. You want him to be deep because he can stay alive. He can put up the fists. He can do the block thing. He can do block. He'll stay alive. No problem. He will stay alive. Here it is. Amp speed. Where is it? Amp speed. Amp speed. Amp speed. Amp speed. I don't mind the choice to not use the beat. Because you use the nano and the annihilation, that's 2 ults. It's totally fine to not beat there. That's fine. Not going with your Rom, real weird. That's really weird to not go with your Rom here. I know you heard the Hanzo ult. Just don't die to the Hanzo ult. Like, really just, like, mark it and stay with your Rom. Your Rom's big in, and he's kind of alone, right? He's just over here. And you're over here. Yeah. I don't know what you're doing right now. You're really, really hesitant to go past that choke. It's okay. You're on Lucio. It kind of changes some of the rules. It means that your core can stick together and speed into positions that might look kind of unsafe in scenarios like that when you have a lot of momentum. And that is okay. It's not necessarily bad just because like the overall holding position is bad. There's a moment when you have momentum and you can actually capitalize on that momentum. And it's okay to be really far forward in some cases, just not to stay there for too long. But it seems like you're hesitant to even go past that choke at all. Not a terrible, like, sort of internal thing to think about. Not a terrible, like, habit to try to be in is to, like, not really go past this point. But on, like, when you stack, like, an annihilation, when you're using annihilation and nano and you are hard in, you are big pushing, the momentum is insane in your favor, then you can do anything you want, especially because you were 2 people up. You actually were 5v3. You're not going to lose. Like, you could go even further. You can get staggers. There's a lot of potential to making that push even more and being a part of it. All right? And so don't be afraid to be a part of that. Okay, your Rob is like in. Your team is fine on health. You can be speed right now. You can be speed. I'm going to duel the Hanzo. I respect that. Nice. A lot of good. Okay. I want to look at this. This is good. I like what I see here. This was the first time I think I've seen you kind of like really make a hard play against a DPS. And I just want to talk about it for a second. So let's go into like some slow-mo. Right? So it's you versus the Hanzo. Let's take a look at what's happening here. The big thing that you need to have when you're playing Lucio against a DPS, especially something like Hanzo, someone that generally likes to play from range, is that you need to get them to turn their camera to the side and up, right? So this Hanzo, perfectly fine if it's him here and you there, right? Totally fine. As soon as he has to turn his camera up to the side and look up, he is no longer comfortable in the fight. And the more he has to keep doing this to like find you and find a shot, the more you are making his life a living hell, all right? But as soon as you stand in his crosshairs, allow him to draw an arrow and just shoot you without having to turn his camera anymore, the fight is over because he is definitely hitting that shot. Like definitely hitting the shot. Especially as you grow in Elo, you will see that they will just more consistently, constantly more consistently hit that shot against you. So let's take a look. Let's watch from his perspective to see what you're forcing him to do. This is big. You are above him, and that is key, right? If not getting him to turn sideways, at least one thing that Lucio can do is make him look up, and that's big. So here, you are literally riding the top of his head like an absolute champion. Fucking huge, actually. Now, you've turned his head. Look, he's not looking at your team anymore. He's looking at you, which is on a completely different angle. All right. Let's keep going. Now you're on his head again. Keep going. Keep going over his head to the other side. Make him 180 again. If you do that, you are breaking this guy's neck and you are walking all over his shit. He is pissed. If you can pull this off, you are insane at the game. Okay. So you didn't manage to get all the way over him. Instead, you're kind of like off to the side now. That's still fine. He still has to turn to find you. And so this is still in the realm of like pretty okay. All right. So he's going to turn again. All right. And here, now he's turned against you. The next thing you need to do is get above and around him again. All right. I know you've used boop now too, so it's a little bit rough. All right. But you're going to go this direction. Notice how he's now pulled he's drawn an arrow against you. And now you're not really like, he's not really turning his camera anymore. Now you're just kind of in front of him. So this shot's going to be a headshot. All right. So now that he doesn't have to turn his camera, now that he can just like steady his aim, draw an arrow to make a shot, it's a lot easier for him to win this duel. But until then, you were a champion. You were all over his shit. I mean, it was insane. And so if you can just keep that up, you can win these duels more often. I'd love to see that you went for the duel. That is really cool. I think a lot of Lucios at your Elo don't go for that duel. And I loved seeing it. So that was awesome to see. Definitely some work that can be done there. But that hopefully gives you some ideas as to the key elements, what you want to look for in when you go for those duels. Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right, so I think you're trying to get your Ana here. Although, now that I see it, you just ditched your Ana again. Yikes. Okay. All right. Okay, it looks like just kind of a lot more, like just throwing bullets out in the middle of nowhere without really thinking about where the bullets are going. So again, I'll point out that we really want to just steady our aim on an angle that we know is important, all right? And just fire all 4 of the pellets at that angle and try to do a straight line. Try to really get it close to the angle, right? And so like, let's say I'm here shooting this angle. Like say I have somebody else kind of standing around right here. And maybe they're like, oh, look, Ash is right there. Maybe she's trying to like peek this angle against you. Maybe like you're doing this kind of thing, right? Let's say you're here kind of like peeking against her and you peek out and you shoot some bullets. If you shoot 3 bullets that are kind of a spray, like one here, one here, one here, one here, kind of like spray, like that's not going to intimidate her in the slightest, right? But let's say instead that you very intentionally standing right here, you shoot 4 bullets, 4 little pellets, right? At head height, and they're all in the same exact pinpoint, and they all barely scrape the edge of this thing right here. They're just like right there. She's going to be like, oh shit. That Lucio is shooting my angle so hard that I need to move. I need to go somewhere else, or I need to be very careful as I peek it. I need something like where I like coach gun this way to get like a different angle on him, or coach gun up and find this other angle and do something else. I need to adjust my play because this Lucio is hard denying me this angle, right? That's the kind of shooting angles that you want to see. The majority of your shots as Lucio are not shooting to kill. They're shooting to get that kind of value, to push enemy ashes like this off their angle, make them use cooldowns to go somewhere else, right? Take the pressure off your team like that. But instead, a lot of these shots are just kind of sprayed wildly around, right? We don't want to see that as much. Okay? A lot of spraying wildly there. And yeah, and you're kind of too far to do anything with it, and none of these shots are hitting anything, right? I know that's, it sucks. I'm just saying, like, yeah, just get better aim. I'm really not. Like, think about it intentionally. Really start applying it. Excuse me. And your aim will get better. Oh. Kind of booped the Bob onto a better position, I'll be real. Anna died because of that a little bit. The Bob's position just keeps getting better. God damn. You love to see it. Very funny. Okay. So we're kind of, I think you're in the mindset of just stay alive and don't C9 as much as possible. There's a world in which you might have beat it here, but without your tank, the fight feels like not nearly as winnable. I don't really like beating here too much, but if you did press tab and you knew, for example, that this guy has barrage and you beat it right now, there's a world where beat barrage just wins, right? So like this is winnable if you beat barrage, but if you just don't realize that you can combo that, you're not like pressing tab mid fight to check ults, then you might not realize that it's like winnable with beat barrage. And so you just don't beat. You think like, oh, it's just not winnable. I don't know. This is like, maybe I shouldn't use the beat. Yeah. So might be some hesitation there. Here comes the barrage. Doesn't find anything. In Grand Captain happens to get that kill on Lynn's. Grand Captain probably doesn't kill far there while she's barraging if you had beated. So beat can save a point sometimes. Whenever you feel like you're in doubt of whether a beat can save point, all right, always healthy to just do a quick press tab, look at the scoreboard, see if you have another ult you can use, right? And if you can combo it with barrage like that, then you can say winnable beat barrage, drop the beat, and just like play quick, right? Your Pharah will hear that, and they will be impressed. They will be like, fuck yeah, let's go, and run it down, and they'll try to make the play, right? If they don't, sucks for them. At least you're trying, and you're doing things you should be doing to try to climb in your rank. Okay. Here, yeah. In this case, I would like, when you're trading, let's get out of line of sight, because you kind of just like, you went this way and straight, like continuing in the angle they're all looking at, so you're definitely dead here. Yeah, 100% dead. You can go on the wall left and like force them to turn. Think about how you're, like you can force them to turn to the left there. Okay. Okay, let's like start firing our gun at angles. I know, okay, it's not as important now because you've got the beat. So once you have beat, it's not as crucial for you to be like constantly keeping your bullets spamming at an angle because you're not building any ult charge when you're holding the beat. So right now we're really just looking for an excuse to use the beat and pushing the enemy team to win a fight with it. Like maybe an aggressive beat, for example, or look at what the enemy team has. Like maybe if you're ult tracking, you see enemy team has like they've got the dragon arrow. That's a pretty good beat response. Junker Queen ult's a very good beat response. So maybe you're going to be thinking about things like that. But really we're looking to use the beat. We're looking to use the beat this fight. We've been holding it for a while. Okay. Love that we finally used beat. Let's go back a second. There's something I really hated about it, and I'll show you in slow motion. Okay. Before you use beat, what you did is you kicked off of this wall and gained altitude. Then when you beat, what happens with beat, the first thing that happens with beat is actually you do a ghost jump. Your character will automatically jump, and you'll see that. Watch this. Off the wall. Here's you're going to beat again, and notice you're not dropping in altitude for a moment. You're actually going to gain a little bit. You're going to do a little arc thing. Watch this. You see went up even more, right? Because beat automatically brings you into the air, and the beat does not actually give anything to your team until it hits the ground, okay? And so look how high you are off the ground, right? If you die on your way from now to the ground, you do something that's called ajaxing. When you ajax, you lose your beat because you never hit the ground and you died beforehand. And it will happen more often the higher elo you are, especially against hit scans like this guy, who can kind of see you right now. And if this guy was better, he could headshot you, and with a little bit of follow-up, he might even be able to kill you with someone else on his team shooting you too. If you lost your beat, that is devastating. Really, really devastating. Okay, and so here we finally hit the ground. We get the beat. Everyone gets the health. All right, it's huge. All right, your ROM pops ult. That's a annihilation on the play. Okay, and we amp speed. That's huge. Okay, this is huge. Amp speed beat ROM ult is like a massive combo. I'm really proud of you here. This is awesome. This is what I expect from like much better than silver players, right? So this is huge. Your amp speeding, you're annihilating ROM into play here. And so I think that's really awesome, right? Okay, as soon as you let your ROM go a different direction, you didn't follow him anymore, and you went off to the side, is where you really showed your silver play in you, right? You needed to stay on the ROM here. The faster ROM gets to move around, the more likely he is to keep the aura on the enemy team without them getting away from him. So it's really important that he has the speed to do that, and you're the one that enables it. So you stay on the ROM. You secure these picks with him, right? And letting him go off like that on his own, this is where you kind of lose ground. Enemy team's able to kite better because you weren't with the ROM as much. So now you don't have Annihilation anymore. Your team basically just picked up a Hanzo, and that's about it. You could have killed their whole team, I think. Okay, we're going back to spawn. Looks like. Okay, it looks like this is my... Okay, this is where you're switching to Ana. Okay. Go this way. Just peek this angle, all right? Play this angle for a second. Ana is definitely a play at cover at a good angle and just see what you can find. You're looking for nades. You're looking to purple the enemy team if possible. If you're finding yourself having to if you're having to nade your feet a lot, then there's something going on with your gameplay that you should try to realize and figure it out. Because if you're playing Ana, then number one, you're playing to make the enemy team purple so that it enables your team to make plays. And you're also looking to charge Nano Boost as quick as possible and play for Nano Boost as a win condition. All right, your whole team plays for Nano when Ana is on the table. Okay. Yeah, this angle, not as good as this other angle over here. All right, this other angle over here gives you nice shots, is really, really defensive. You're like all the way over here, and it's still good. Like if you were in this angle, you could kill the Mercy right now. You could pressure the Lucio, but like really the killing the Mercy right now is a big one. She's going to die anyway. That's good. Okay, starting to see this. The reason why this is worse is because there is no cover. All right, there's zero cover. So showing your silver a little bit here, right? This is your silver side. Silver Ana goes this way. Gold Ana goes this way. Okay, so play this cover. Play this cover. You can even make a little bit of progress over here and cut into this way. You can play like around this kiosk a little bit. You can go in this direction. You can find a nade opportunity from this direction, right? When I say go on a flank to find a nade, I don't mean stay on the angle for too long. I don't mean overstay your welcome, okay? I mean, you could, for example, go this direction if like the front lines are just like neck and neck bunting against each other and there's nothing that's happening. You can open the play by taking an angle in a sneaky way and not just feeding, right? Don't feed. Throw the nade from the side where it's not going to get blocked. And then don't overstay your welcome. Like stay there as long as you need to get the value you need. If you start getting shot back at, you know, start rotating away, start getting out of there, right? But if your team takes the momentum on that, you can probably stay the angle and maybe get a couple of offensive shots on before you start healing your team. Okay, you have no idea where you think you should be standing. You're trying to figure that out right now. Okay, you're kind of getting a grasp on it. You're playing sort of near by the kiosk over here to the right, which is nice. This is good cover. You're playing around the turret. That's also kind of nice. Okay. Be watching angles. It definitely feels like I'm gonna use the term butt scratching. This is what you're doing. You're butt scratching. I don't know what you're thinking, but watch your mouse, watch your gameplay. Look at what you're doing. It's like don't butt scratch. If you feel like if you catch yourself butt scratching, focus. Just focus for a second. Press tab, think. Press tab and think, right? At least do something like thinking. Scope in on an angle and just look at it for a second. Just keep an eye on it. Think about it. Where could they be? What could be happening right now? How could I be playing the game? Turning around and scratching your ass and just waiting for something to happen is not going to progress your team in any meaningful way. You're not going to do anything. So, like, this is fine. Right here, you can keep an angle. If you see your ROM is a little bit too deep, maybe you go up here and hold an angle right here next to this cover, really close to this cover. Be careful about that angle, right? We'll see what you do. All right, I like it. You starting to see it? All right. Little wide. You can hug the cover a little bit closer. A little bit closer, right? This, little wide. I'm being really picky here just to illustrate a point, okay? What I expect from, like, low-level Anas, they're willing to drift all the way up to, like, about here. You know, like, around this area. This is crazy. This is way too far off the cover. This, still not super close to cover. Really good Anas will get closer and closer and closer to this cover. And they'll barely peek it, and they'll constantly keep an eye on this angle that could fuck them up. See where you are? Deep. See where you are? See this? There you go. Yeah, come back close to this. Really close to this. You're down one soldier. Stay on the angle. A little bit better. A little bit better. Nice. Yeah. Drifting a little bit there. Drifting a little bit. I like these shots. That's the angle that can fuck you up right there. You see that Sojourn, all right? So now you got to be really careful because now your cover against the Sojourn is really far away. You see how that suddenly that became a thing? Because you need to stay close. You need to really, really, like, really glue yourself to this corner, right? Because if you're standing right here and shooting, like, really close to the corner, you notice that, you pull back to here, no problem. The step from here to here, no problem. But if you are over here, the step from this position all the way over to here is a lot longer, takes a lot more time, gives her a chance to get that rail on you, so just be careful with that. Really, really no cover. Now you're in the deep. Now you're in, like, this is just, things are happening. It's hard to pay attention to the fact that you should keep your cover, and now you're just kind of in the middle of some shit. Yes, you're also kind of winning. That's fair. But that doesn't mean that you should allow yourself to lose here. Okay, kill that Mercy. Nice, good job. You got to nade yourself, right? Is that good? All right. We nade ourselves. Is that good? Well, it's the right decision to nade yourself, but it's a bad thing that you had to do it because you shouldn't have to do it. Hopefully that nade be thrown at the enemy team to create a purple so that you open a play and make a good play for your team. The purple is way more valuable than throwing it at your feet. And the problem with this is that the enemy team has compelled you to use this ability rather than using it proactively for yourself. And the reason they were able to compel you to use it was because you weren't paying attention to the things were happening in the game that can compel you to use this ability, i.e. you were standing in open space, allowing yourself to get shot at. If you didn't stand in open space and you stood really close to the cover, you're taking steps to not allow the enemy team to compel you to use the nade. And that's much better because then you can more commonly use the nade proactively, which I have yet to see. I want to see that proactive nade against the enemy team. Nice sleep. Good. Back and open. A little bit too open. No, don't die here. No, you might have to nade yourself again. Be careful. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe you stand behind this cover, right? Stand really close to the cover again, right? And you will heal yourself automatically. Maybe you can even throw that nade over there to see if your ROM can get some follow-up and find a nice nade. We'll see. This is fine. The ROM going big in is just going to turn everyone's head, so that's fine. Almost had that sleep. I think you're going to die to this Sojourn, though. She might. Yeah, she's going to kill you. Damn. The turret's doing a lot of work, though. The Annihilation's doing a lot of work. Awesome. Yeah. I like to see the aggressive nade there at the end. That's good. That's what I want to see. Put yourself in less positions where you have to eventually force yourself to use the nade on yourself. You do not want to have to nade yourself. Every time you have to nade yourself and it was preventable, that's your fault, and that's like you kind of showing in your silver and gold. Usually around like high gold to plat is where Anas stop doing that a lot. Like they really start figuring that one out. Yeah, so just keeping that in mind. I'm going to end this VOD review there because I've said a lot. It's been 45 minutes, and I think I've given you plenty of things to think about. So I hope you've learned something from this, and I hope it's beneficial to you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.